Hello, hello, hello. How's it going, people? Welcome to stream. Welcome. Wednesday, 26th of March. We are here. We are here. We are talking Arsenal and lots of stuff to talk about. Real Madrid potentially gonna sign Zubimendi. Gabriel could get very soon a new contract extension given the Saudi interest and given the laughable amount of money. Let's be real, he's on salary wise. Uh, Sorry, some other bits and bobs here or there. I've seen you've been already here before the stream even was live. Let's be real. So, if you're new around here, smash the thumbs up. First of all, smash the thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new around here as well, and leave your thoughts down in the live chat. Obviously, what we're gonna kick things off. First things first is Zubimendi, and there is that. That is that. There's nothing to basically waste time on these things. But yeah, for me, I'm happy that Real Madrid are interested in him because for me, Zubimendi was not the answer, nowhere near. Because we are losing Partey, we are losing Jorginho, and we don't have a replacement for Partey, and we should sign a proper replacement for Partey. And Nathan was here, if it would pop up, yeah. He said that Real Madrid can have Zubimendi. We can go for Douglas Luiz, Wharton, Ederson, Bruno Guimaraes, Baleba, Albert. Exactly, and that is the case. For me, Wharton, the way you look at how Wharton plays, just he gets the ball, 1-2 quick touches, and he instantly gives a forward pass. Instantly, without hesitation. As long as Arteta doesn't coach it out of him in the time he has left, I would assume so, then he would be quite fantastic. Ederson would be quite expensive, but still very good. Bruno Guimaraes, poaching him from Newcastle, I think, would be quite impossible, let's just put it that way. Solely due to the fact that, let's be real, if Newcastle, especially if Newcastle get Champions League with the trophy they just won, there is more merit for them to stay than to go, because Newcastle are only on the rise. They are not going down anytime soon, at least by the looks of things. Eddie Howe is doing a phenomenal job there, so I don't see it happening as well. Baleba would be an interesting one. We'll see how that goes, but yeah, Zubimendi is overrated. As I said yesterday, Zubimendi is a decent player, but he's just overrated by our fan base quite heavily. They are making him like he's the next Patrick Vieira or something like that, and he's nowhere close to that. Let's be real. He plays also for mediocre team in Real Sociedad, and I would say for Real Madrid he's perfect. For Arsenal, the way we play, he's not the answer whatsoever. We should be going for a striker as well, where y'all gonna fit in left backs or midfielders. Yeah, that is also the case. We need a striker quite desperately, let's be real, and a winger as well. No, when Yeri Sakanelli trio, let's don't think so. I don't think when Yeri is gonna be a number 9. Although Arteta has said in interviews that in the future, if he has the time, obviously the year 2, 3, he actually sees him as a number 9, so that will be very interesting. For me, the fact is that Bukayo Saka allegedly, according to rumors, yesterday played the game behind closed doors. So I don't know what to make of this. Is he fit? Is Arsenal rushing him back just because of Real Madrid? Because there are talks that he actually might be available already for Fulham game in April 1st, which is in 5 days. Well, 6 days. Well, yeah, I can say 5 given that tomorrow's the 27th. So it's weird surrounding Arsenal, and knowing our manager's track record with rushing players back like he did with Jesus, that didn't go well. Playing players injured like Odegaard, Rice, Tomiyasu, White, Partey, so on, and Saka, and so on. It's not a good look, to say the least. Let's just put it that way. New midfield, yeah, exactly. Midfield and attack are those two places where we need to improve quite massively. And I think that will also require a massive sacrifice. Whether it's Martinelli, whether it's someone like that. I don't mind. I'm not gonna lie, I don't mind. Because this is business as well, let's be real. There's no putting it the other way. And the emotional attachment at some point needs to go. Yet, basically, whole fan base almost, well, not to say whole, huge part of the fan base basically treat every single Arsenal player like he's their brother, sister, or mother, father, or something like that. It's actually kind of weird, I'm not gonna lie. You should be actually thinking in terms of club, not actually just a single player. Yeah, it's Arteta's birthday, by the way, today, so happy 5 years of winning fuck all. Almost 1700 days without winning a trophy. Good job, Mikel. Good job. Yeah, Gabriel is also set for a new contract. We're gonna get to that in a second. Oh yeah, Brazil, they taunted Argentina quite heavily and they just got smacked 4-1 yesterday. It was, they played them off the park. Let's be real, Argentina was nuts yesterday. As well, that is a big thing. England get a new good manager, no time. To be honest, Declan Rice today came out, or today or yesterday, came out and said that Thomas Tuchel is almost the same as Mikel Arteta. They're very close in managerial styles, and that is worrying. Let's be real. Although the big difference is Tuchel actually can win stuff. Arteta cannot. That is a big thing. Berta save us from Arteta. If only. Big up TKA, big up my guy. We think that yes, but what if the board thinks Zubimendi or bust like they did with Sesko? Could be the case, but kinda like, obviously, me personally, I'm not gonna lie, and I think also a big part of Arsenal's fan base are putting quite a big emphasis and quite a bit of eggs in Andrea Berta's basket in this regard. And looking of his track record at Atletico Madrid and in general, I don't think it's gonna be like Zubimendi or bust. I genuinely don't believe so, because I don't think he would sign for Arsenal, where if there were not certain guarantees, certain things that were basically given to him, as I said, guarantees, maybe some options, some ideas that actually they said they will back no matter what. The amount of money, the signings, I hate this word, but profiles and stuff like that. I don't think he would have signed. I genuinely don't think he would have signed. I know I'm putting, I know it's a massive amount of hopium and copium in terms of the future, and I'm putting quite big weight on Berta's shoulders, but looking at what, as I said, what he has done at Atletico Madrid, I would trust him to do that. But I thought we built... Yeah, we have built relationships with Sao Paulo, by the way. We haven't looked at them since we signed Marquinhos. Same goes for Brighton. We built relations when signed Ben White, and we didn't sign Caicedo to keep good relations, and yeah, that has been it. That's about it. It's basically football friends and all that stuff. If you have seen In-Betweeners, you know, and everything, but it's insane building friends. In football, there are no friends. Let's be real. You can be friends with someone, but ultimately, end of the day, it comes down to a business. It comes down to money, it comes down to deals, it comes down to agreements, and since, whether you like it or not, it's a cutthroat business on many levels, there is no room for friendships. There's genuinely no room for friendships in that regard. And I think with Berta coming in, Arsenal actually will do that. They actually might, for once, have this dimension in terms of selling and signing players where buddy ball, let's just call it that way, is genuinely exiled from the equation. Absolutely removed from the equation. And that is something I kind of would love to see. Yeah, Trent to Madrid, yep. Trent to Madrid. Dude, we have seen Trent being cooked by Martinelli, who is not the most technical, and La Liga is very technical, so definitely he might be exposed. But first things first, he's better than Vasquez, 100%. Vasquez has won, what, 6 Champions Leagues, 6 Champions Leagues, or something like that. And still, Madrid fans want him out of the club. And Carvajal getting older, it's a very nice option. Maybe, as we know, defensively he might not be it, but if you think about his passing range, his distribution of the ball, and the fact that he will link up with players like Modric, well, maybe next year as well, it looks like he's going to resign. Players like Vini, Rodrigo, Mbappe, and Brahim Diaz, Arda Güler. It genuinely, the world is his oyster to some extent, I'm not going to lie. Because it's Madrid. It is Madrid. They have the pull, let's be real. And let's not forget how they got Mbappe. They offered to PSG in 2021, 2022, something around that time, 150 million for Kylian Mbappe. And they turned it down. So they said, well, let's wait, see out your contract. We're gonna sign you for free, and they did that. Madrid always get good free agents. They did that with Alaba, with Rudiger. So the biggest thing about Madrid is that they can afford to wait a season, let's just say, or two. If push comes to shove, it's definitely a high-end type of player. And on top of that, most players don't mind waiting. That is a big thing that plays into this. Because the reason why Lenny Yoro, for example, signed for United instead of Real Madrid, if you recall last summer, pretty much solely was the reason that Real Madrid said, wait one more year and we're going to come for you next year, I'm going to sign you. Right? Basically, they told him to be patient. Or basically, United said, come now. And he decided to go now. And also, let's be real, Lille also tried to push him out of the club, so that also played the part. But ultimately, he was not willing to wait. But most of the time when Madrid says wait, or we're gonna come for you, they usually do. 99.9% of the time, they get what they want. And that's about it. Madrid, no, there is a reason why Madrid is the royal club. It's the biggest club in the world. There is a reason, and that's the reason. What next? Fati to Arsenal? I can't take this. I hope not. I generally hope not. I hope it's not Ansu Fati. Yeah, party extension would actually be very nice. The thing is, I would like a Thomas Partey extension only on two conditions. First things first, that is not on 200 grand a week like he's now. He's on about 120. And second of all, he's not a starting guy. At his age with injuries, I much rather him be a rotational player, a bench player, not a bench player, but for depth and rotation more, and we sign a proper number 6. Much rather have that. Because even if we sign Thomas Partey for one more year, if he agrees, for example, for some random reason, he will not be the guy next season. He cannot be the guy, whether you like it or not. Zinchenko in the 10, Rice in... The thing is, Rice in the 6 technically works. But the thing that doesn't work with Rice is the fact that he can do many things decently, but he doesn't excel at many things. He is not like unique in certain aspect. Thomas Partey can bully you physically, disrupt the play. He's like a bulldog, whether you like it or not, and he can pass the ball on very high level with good footballing IQ. Unfortunately for me, the way I see Declan Rice, he can do one of those things, which is disrupt the play. And for me, under high press, he doesn't have the skill and technical ability to get out of tight spots, which Thomas Partey does, in my opinion. He is not as good in linking up defense to the attack, which Thomas Partey, I think, is quite fantastic for Arsenal. Hence why our attack many times, especially in 22-23 season and last season, was quite amazing. Let's be real. And yeah, that is the big thing. I think replacing Thomas Partey will be very, very, very tough. Y'all saw how good Setford... Yeah, Setford was fantastic. Got a clean sheet yesterday. Obviously, we laughed and were in disbelief that Arsenal signed 3 goalkeepers last summer, which was Setford, Nygaard, and Neto, obviously. But to be honest, not Nygaard, yeah, Setford has been quite amazing. Clean sheets and everything, has played also for the main squad. So I think for future, he actually could be quite good. If actually push comes to shove. Yes, they kept a clean sheet. Max Dauman's solo goal he scored also was phenomenal for under 17s. He's 15 years old and he's balling out against under 17s. He's genuinely in the league of his own for now. Obviously, I'm not getting too excited because he is still young, let's be real, and let's give him time to grow and develop to some extent. So let's not overhype him. Same goes for Manieri, same goes for Miles Lewis-Skelly, because there is still many places where they can improve and grow. Because there are people, Arsenal fans, who call Manieri world-class and Skelly world-class already. That is genuinely not something I want to hear whatsoever at this stage. Big up, my boss. Big up, big up, big up. Yeah, Partey scored a brace for Ghana, definitely. He did yesterday, he did. So, Odegaard got 3 assists yesterday. That's kind of nuts one. I'm just waiting for Bert to do. Yeah, exactly. That is the biggest thing. We can see these links. We can see the links with Zubimendi and players like that. But once that midnight strikes and the transfer window opens, then we will see what is what. Genuinely, we will see. One thing I love, actually, that the Sesko talk has quieted down between Arsenal about regarding Arsenal. That is something I absolutely love. Maybe he has talked to Mikel and said, Sesko, you need to chill the fuck out. Just get away from him. He's not it. Maybe he has said that. Who knows? But that's something I like. Obviously, especially that there are talks that he has 70 million release clauses in his contract. And if you can get Gyökeres for 67, you can get Osimhen for 67 to 70 as well. Why the hell would you sign Sesko? Why the hell you would do that? Like, make it make sense. Like, let's be real. I hope Arteta getting sacked, one of his things better than that. Could be. I think the board and ownership as well will give Arteta and Berta together one window, summer window, and see how it goes. And if Arteta starts to struggle, if we are just like this year before Christmas, like 9-12 points behind, I think he will be gone. Otherwise, might be till the end of the next season as well. Because so far, I haven't seen too many indications that Arteta would resign himself or board would sack him. However, with Andrea Berta coming in, it has taken quite a bit of influence and power away from Arteta. Something they gave Arteta with 15 million a year deal, plus took away from Edu. Edu left because of many things. One of those was that thing. They signed Berta, and now they have given back the power they took away. It sounds weird, but hey, it's Arsenal. When it makes sense, Arsenal won't do it to some extent. Yeah, he better do. Obviously, I don't want to Odegaard as Arsenal's captain. I think he's captain material, but hey, at least he can do something for national team. I don't want to see no more Rafinha Ballon d'Or, nothing. Yeah, he chatted shit, and as Jamie Vardy said, chat shit get banged. And he chatted shit, and he got banged by Argentina. Not like that on the pitch. Yeah, thank God. Thank God. Let's hope Berta can. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I really hope that Berta can. Let's be real. Berta has more than a decade's experience with going in the ring one-on-one against Diego Simeone. It's hard to imagine a bigger madman in footballing managerial world than Diego Simeone. There is a bit of a nutcase in that guy, let's be real. And if he can survive that, and if he can work hand in hand with him for over a decade, about 12, 13 years, genuinely, it kind of strikes me with the fact that Andrea Berta would eat Mikel Arteta for breakfast. If it came to that, I would like to think so. Exactly. No to Sesko, Gyökeres, yes. Osimhen, yes. Players like that, yes. Sesko, goddamn no. Exactly. It's not that difficult. It's simple like that. Exactly. No to Sesko. First things first. All that yapping in the interview with Romario. Yeah, to Ghost. Exactly like that. Exactly. That is the biggest thing. He just was talking these things and was running his mouth, and Argentina came out and said, shut the hell up. Osimhen, yeah. Retegui, not too sure. David. The big thing is, I would say we need two strikers. And if you told me that if we get Gyökeres and David for free, I would not be against that. I'm not gonna lie, I would not be against that whatsoever. Genuinely. Obviously, we are still linked to some extent with Isak, right? But there are two things. First things first, Isak doesn't fit the system we play currently. With camped on the box, U-shaped type football, he's not getting chances. We need someone like Gyökeres, Osimhen, and players like that, right? The second thing is 130 to 150 million. For that money, you can sign Gyökeres and Osimhen, by the way. So, let's be real. It's not how much money you spend, it's how you spend it. And there definitely, to some extent, if you have a proper sporting director in charge, he will know how to divide the funds to use them more sufficiently and to use them more effectively and to improve the team more. Because so far, especially in the last two summer windows, it's been a total disgrace, let's be real. We signed Merino, we have signed two number 8s, Havertz and Merino, right? Who we ended up, who were the guys who gonna unlock Martinelli, by the way, who are now playing as a striker, both of them. One is injured right now. Both of them play striker. 6 and an 8 who play striker right now. Like, it's actually kind of nuts. Gyökeres fell off. To some extent, yes, maybe. We'll see. That it heavily depends on how maybe the new manager and everything. Maybe he needs a change of pace. Obviously, he's played in championship, so he knows English football, so it wouldn't be that big of a leap anyways. He has established himself as a big name, but I cannot help having this thought in the back of my head that Gyökeres actually for one more season might stay at Sporting, and then he will go to Barcelona to replace Lewandowski or something like that. I can also see something like that happening. Maybe even go to Bayern Munich to replace Harry Kane. Because there are rumors that Harry Kane might leave Bayern Munich this summer as well, so who knows? That is the big thing. Chef Bale, Ballon d'Or. He's balling 20. One thing is for certain, Berta got the job done for Atleti for the... Exactly. If we get into a situation where we don't bring in players, you know it's Arteta or the owners. Exactly. And that will say, and that is the biggest thing as well. One of the biggest things is that I was on Lee Gunner's stream, right? And we were obviously in the chat, not on the stream, because obviously he has no goddamn idea who I am. Maybe in the future one day, but obviously he was looking at Andrea Berta. Andrea Berta, in those 12 years, has net spend of 110 million overall sales and buys. Has 110 million net spent, negative obviously, right, for Atletico Madrid, which is basically one Declan Rice. And look what Atletico Madrid have done in that time. Let's be real. The players they have signed. And Andrea Berta has signed some fantastic strikers as well for Atletico Madrid. So there is hope that Arsenal might actually, after 3 long years of wait, 3.5, we actually might sign a striker. For the first time in 7 years, 8 years, we might actually sign a proper striker since Aubameyang. There is a possibility of that. Yeah, this will expose a lot. This will expose a lot. Because after the transfer window closed in summer and also January, there were lots of talks that Arteta wanted Merino. There were arguments in the hierarchy that they don't think he's the right guy. Arteta wanted Calafiori. There were arguments as well about him in the hierarchy, that he is not the right guy due to injuries and the fact that he's from Italy specifically. And then there's also the Sterling one, which also was pretty much confirmed that it's Mikel Arteta signing. It took him only 10 seconds to decide that he wants to sign him, that he's going to be here. Especially given the fact that Edu came out and said that Sterling wasn't even on the list. They just decided to sign him the last 2 days of the transfer window. It's all confirmed, and Mikel Arteta 3 years ago came out and said that he has the final decision, the final say on the signings. And if you add all that up together, this last summer transfer window pretty much, solely on Mikel Arteta, isn't it? How did someone fall off who was 40? Yeah, that is also the case. Gyökeres hasn't fallen off. I think that the fact that the new manager just wants to play a different style, he has to adjust. He's still balling, he's still scoring pretty much almost every single game. So let's be real, 40 goals in all comps, it's not falling off by any means. We don't even have a guy. Havertz has 9 goals in Premier League. He has 19 in all comps. And he had that by February, by the way. February. 19 in all comps. 9 in Premier League. That was our so-called main number 9 who's gonna get us over the line. Like, make it make sense. Well, the injury... Genuinely, we have signed 2 players from Bologna. Tomiyasu and Calafiori. Both of them injury prone. And Calafiori has been injured 4 or 5 times already since signing. And it's been Genuinely 8 months. And Tomiyasu, is he even alive? Who knows? That is also the case. Still nowhere near Osimhen. Although Osimhen is balling in Turkish league. Massively balling. Dude, if Calafiori barely can lace Roberto Carlos's boots. Dude, don't do this. Don't overhype. Don't be a top gunner here. Genuinely. Also, we need numbers like at least 5 players. They don't all have to be... That is the biggest thing. As I said, it's not how much money you spend. It's how you spend it. Because, as I said, if you want Isak for 130 million, right? Or 150, how was it quoted? You can for half of that sign Gyökeres, and then you can spend the other half of signing, let's just say, Barella or Ederson. Or if you genuinely have this fetish, go sign Nico Williams. As much as I don't rate him, go and sign him. Because that is how Arteta envisions this and everything. Let's just put it that way. Big up Kwame. Big up Kwame, my guy. We will outbid Real for Zubimendi. Oh, bloody hell, I hope not. I genuinely hope not. Because we're gonna overpay and it's all gonna look bad. And as I said, I don't think Zubimendi is the answer. Anyways. But hey. Roca scored way more than most of these world-class strikers. Can't you understand striker though? I'm not gonna cap. I'm gonna sound like youth, like teenagers. Like, I'm not gonna cap. Right? But if Harry Kane is available for 60-70 million in the summer, I would go for him. Don't care that he has Spurs links or anything. He was in Arsenal's academy. Let's be real and everything. I wouldn't mind going for Harry Kane. But despite the fact that he has won nothing this season, he might win Bundesliga this season. I'll give him that. However, with the recent 2 injuries to Upamecano and someone else, right? They might struggle. I still believe that Bayern Munich are going to win something, which means Harry Kane is going to get a trophy. The end is coming near, I know. But I wouldn't mind going for Harry Kane. Because we need someone up top there who can link up play, and he has fantastic passing. He genuinely needs one touch, bang, goal, top bins. He has that ability. And that is something we miss desperately. The clinical ability, the finishing in front of the net. Doesn't look good for Calafiori with MLS balling out. Exactly. And how interesting is that, isn't it? We signed Calafiori, our marquee signing, and he genuinely is replaced by a Hale-End graduate who is on $8,000 a week. By Miles Lewis Skelly, who basically has made this position his own. Merino as well, other marquee signing of the summer. We play him as a striker even though we signed him as an 8 or a 6, whoever. Like, that summer was just shambles. We are not going to talk about Sterling or Neto even. The thing is, Miles Lewis Skelly needs to improve a lot, specifically defensively. Because he's not a defender. Miles Lewis Skelly by default is a midfielder. So definitely he will get exposed on defense. We have seen that happen already. And given that he's young, he might lose his head and get a red card. We have seen that happen as well on multiple occasions. Right? So the biggest issue for me is when we play Real Madrid, right? Rodrigo, whoever, against... It's gonna be rough. It's genuinely gonna be rough for them. It's gonna be like initiation into world football. Under the lights at Bernabeu against Rodrigo or Mbappe or Winnie, however Ancelotti is gonna set them up. It's gonna be rough. One thing, I want to see Calafiori start in those games. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Tierney would be an interesting option in that regard. But yeah. It is what it is. Anyways, we talked about Zubimendi. Let's move on. He's been on the screen for half an hour. It pisses me off. I'm not gonna lie. It really pisses me off that he's there for half an hour already on the screen. In other news, here is the big... Why did that open up? Here's the big one. Arsenal are set to offer Gabriel a new contract to deter interest in the centre back from Saudi Arabia. Big up coffee, gang. I'm not gonna lie, long overdue. Because given the fact that Gabriel is on 100 grand a week is a criminal offense. When he gets paid less than Sterling, Zinchenko, Martinelli, Partey, Odegaard, Havertz, Jesus, he gets paid the same amount as Tomiyasu, he gets less than Merino, less than Calafiori. That is utterly a disgrace. Especially given the fact that you could make a very strong argument that he has been our player of the season. This season. So the sooner we can get it done, the better. Because this can get ugly real quick. This can get ugly real quick. Because it's not just Gabriel who has been under the lights recently, given the situation, right? Saliba as well. Real Madrid still remain interested in William Saliba, which ultimately means that if we screw this up in span of 1 year, and if it generates a nightmare scenario one summer, we can lose both center backs. That is a possibility. Obviously, I'm looking at a very small percentage of that, but it could happen. There is a possibility of that to happen. And I will say this, the defense is our strong point. If that gets all messed up, it's going to take a long time to recover. And you want to tell me that players like Calafiori and Kivior and stuff like that are going to play center backs? We will need to spend again an extra 100 to 150 million on at least 2 proper center backs. Because this situation can go south real goddamn quick. Because Real Madrid as well don't mind waiting. Yes, they're interested right now. They might test the waters with a bid, and if it doesn't come through, they will say, well, let's wait till summer. Let's wait till your contract runs out in a year. Because after this season, he will have 2 years left on his contract. He'll say, just wait it out. You're still young. You have time. And if Gabriel moves to Saudi, it's going to be even bigger curtains for Arsenal. Let's be real. Especially given the fact that he's going to get 300 grand a week. That's what Saudi are offering him. Tax-free. So basically, he genuinely is going to pocket everything he gets. So he's level going to be 28, which means that he arguably could be going into the last big potential contract he can get. Potentially, obviously, because the footballer's career is very short and you never know when a random injury is going to strike or some condition is going to show up. And it's going to ruin everything, obviously. You need to take those things into account. Obviously, the chances to some extent are small, but they're still chances. And that is you have to take into account. And if you have the ability and chance to provide for your family right now, and maybe even for next generation or even 2 potentially, I would do that. I'm not gonna lie, I would do that. That is the big thing. But anyways, yeah, if we are not careful, back going to this, if we are not careful, we might lose both of these players in one window, or even, no, maybe not as soon, but a bit slower. That is the big thing. Where are we? Yes, that's amazing news. That is amazing news, I'm not gonna lie, but it could go south real quick. Need to look at that. Give him 300 mil release clause. Exactly. 300 million for Gabriel, half a mil for Saliba or something like that. Exactly. Give Gabriel captaincy as well with the new contract. Give that to him as well. Today as well news. Asensio. Mini Ramos, as the Real Madrid fans call him. Fantastic defender at the age of 19. Fantastic to look at. He signed a new deal today. 100 million release clauses. If you want him, 100 M's instantly. They'll top it up. But it is what it is. Exactly. He played Israel. Exactly. They played Israel. That is the biggest thing. That is the thing. Real will want someone. And it's just a matter of who, because Real Madrid are interested in Konate Konate, Saliba, and Huijsen from Bournemouth. Those three are apparently in their list, or maybe near top of the list, if not the top of the list. So it's gonna be very, very, very interesting. Very interesting. And why the Gabriel smiling with Haaland? He knows he hate. Well, it's national duty. It's a bit different. Let's be real. When you play for national team. If I played for my national team and I played for my arch rival, I'm not gonna go into national team and start punching people up. Like, come on, be real. Yeah, Asensio, the right wing. Yeah, he will play he will play PSG in quarters, unless the loan kind of cancels it. I have no idea, to be honest. But hey, we will see. But overall, Asensio, the Real Madrid center back, dude, that talent is phenomenal, to say the least. Anyways, Max Daumann. I really hope he lives up to the potential that people are giving him. He plays for under 17s, 15 years old, 5 games, 5 GA, and he scored a phenomenal goal last night. Oof. He scored phenomenal goal last night. But hey, we'll see. We have to give him time. We have to give him time. Apparently, Arsenal are interested in new fullback, Jesus Areso. Show me. Jesus Areso, 25, and he's a right back. Wait, what? A right back? Seriously? What? Why we are interested in a right back of all places? What the hell is this? I don't care. Let's move on. It's just dumb. Dumb, stupid, and useless. I'm sorry, not sorry. Dumb, stupid, and useless. Anyways, what else is here? Obviously, Odegaard got 3 assists in Norway's 4-2 win against Israel away. It is what it is. I just mentioned that Chelsea are prepared to pay over the odds to beat Real Madrid to the signing of Bournemouth's defender Dean Huijsen. And that is a big thing. Chelsea will pay over the odds, and Real Madrid will not pay over the odds, because they have no need to overspend on Huijsen if they can get to Konate or Saliba or even Gabriel to some extent. So that definitely is gonna be a rough one to watch. Regarding Arsenal Stadium, there is more money. Arsenal are trying to make more money. Arsenal have looked at the way Real Madrid redeveloped the Bernabeu as they explore the possibilities of expanding the Emirates Stadium. That Real Madrid Bernabeu Stadium, right? They have restaurants in there, shops, all the things you can imagine, right? I just wonder how Arsenal could redevelop Emirates in that level. There is no place where they can do that, no room to do that. What are they smoking there? Talks are at an exploratory stage, with Arsenal assessing what is feasible when it comes to expanding or upgrading. And Emirates needs an upgrade, let's be real. Yes, it was the most modern stadium at the time, but it still needs some upgrades. Some positive news from Charles Watts, or Kappa Watts, if you want to call him that, because he is capping a lot in the transfer windows. Let's not kid ourselves. But apparently, Bukayo Saka could be back earlier than expected. There are talks that he actually might be back for the game against Fulham. Oh, bloody hell, this is going rough. Max Daumann. No, Max Daumann is not another Odegaard. Let's be real. Max Daumann is better. As long as Arteta doesn't get his hands on him and doesn't coach out the directness, the attacking mindset, and everything, right, out of him, he will be fantastic. If he gets promoted at a time when we have proper manager in, it could be fantastic to look at. Same goes for Manieri and Skelly as well, to some extent, because I'm very worried that Mikel Arteta is gonna do to them what he did with Bukayo Saka, for example. He's gonna make them a total system players, completely killing the freedom, the ability to express themselves, the ability to have fun on the pitch. And that is a big, big worry for me because he has done it with Bukayo Saka, he has done it with some other players, and that is a big worry. And also, that is a very nice segue, by the way, in this. David McGoldrick. If you know, you know, Sheffield United and all that stuff. This is what he said about football today. When you watch football in the Premier League or the other top divisions, it's so robotic. In my day, there was Ronaldinho, Paul Gascoigne, and those kinds of players who were great to watch. Freedom, free roam, attack, excitement, allow express themselves, all this good stuff. I don't watch as much football as I used to, not because I don't love it, but because some of the top games are not enjoyable to watch anymore because there are no Mavericks in the game. And to be honest, I was reading this and it's very hard to disagree with what he's saying. Because if you are of a certain age and you had the chance to watch Saka, to watch, obviously, as it says here, Ronaldinho, to watch Wesley Sneijder, to watch proper players like who have proper dribbling, skills, abilities, and everything. Street footballers in a way, let's just put it that way. It's actually insane when you compare to these days. It's night and day. These days it's so robotic and so predictable. It's actually like... I hate this, like, when watching today's football. That's why, for example, Premier League, I have lost the interest in Premier League to some extent. I used to watch Premier League more than I do now. I used to watch Premier League a lot. And not just Arsenal, pretty much every single game. These days, if let's just say Arsenal play, cool, I watch it because I'm an Arsenal fan, obviously, and I want to watch Arsenal. As shit as we are gameplay wise at the moment and everything, I still want to watch it, right? And everything, but if I have to make a decision, for example, to sit there and watch, for example, Villa versus Newcastle, right? Or if I have a chance to, for example, go to La Liga and watch Athletic Bilbao versus Sevilla, or watch in Italy Inter Milan versus AS Roma, right? I much rather watch those games because those teams play more exciting, more pleasing, more entertaining type of football. A football that basically, to some extent, is missing these days. Is missing. There are many, just even in La Liga too, right? Most of the games, even from the smaller teams and between the smaller teams, are like a tennis match. Left, right, left, right, left, right. Because there are incentives not to finish last. There are incentives because you get certain percentages of TV deals and everything. There is a reason why. In Premier League, it's actually insane that by now we already know 3 teams that are most likely going to go down. Especially if we look at Southampton and crap like that. Then we look at other teams. Then we look at other games. And you just watch Premier League and you think, well, this is shit. Best league in the world. Most money in the world. Best deals in the world. Yet, I much rather watch La Liga 2, for example. That's me. I do that. I rather watch Almeria versus Deportivo La Coruña or Cordoba versus Granada, for example, right? Rather than I watch Aston Villa versus Newcastle. I kid you not. That is the case. That's how far Premier League has fallen. There is more excitement watching other games than Premier League games. And it's actually kind of insane. It's actually kind of insane. Never compare Dortmund to Odegaard, yeah. Here we go, here comes the but we are paying the state. Exactly, that's gonna be another excuse. Like, we kind of, like, we pretty much this year posted record sales, right? We are almost where at even grounds, basically, in ins and outs, right? Which means we had about insane amount of increase, which means if we continue by this scale, by this dynamic on the board upwards trajectory, right? It means next year, when it comes down to actually paying the bills and putting together the tax statements, we will actually have made clean profit. It comes down to that. It generally could come down very easily down to that. Vanieri is nice right now. That's what's good. Exactly. That is the thing. Vanieri is fantastic at the moment because he's direct. He can attack. He can play, do everything. Because Saka was the same when Arteta just came in. As soon as he started to implement this robotic, genuinely excruciating style of play to watch, the painful style, he lost it all. He's not doing those things anymore. He doesn't drop a shoulder as much. He doesn't slalom dribble between 3-4 players. He plays very robotic pass, backwards, forwards, and all this stuff. And I'm very scared that the longer Mikel Arteta stays here, same is gonna happen to Vanieri, same is gonna happen to Skelly, and if Dauman gets promoted, same is gonna happen to him. I'm very scared about that. That for me is the biggest issue. Villa is nice to watch many times, but I kid you not, I'd rather not. That's the biggest thing. I've not just like Magoljic is saying, it's not that I've fallen out of love with football. I'm more fallen out with Premier League specifically. Because I would make a strong argument that from all the leagues I watch, right, on consistent basis, Premier League is in the last place. I much rather watch La Liga 2, Serie A, Bundesliga. I kid you not, Portuguese league even I much rather watch to some extent. And if I wasn't an Arsenal fan, I would watch maybe some bigger games in Premier League. But I kid you not, I would not give two shits about Premier League. Definitely not as much as I do now. I'm just gonna put it that way. If I was not an Arsenal fan, I most likely would be a Roma fan. Most likely, or AC Milan fan. Because I grew up quite a bit on Serie A, and those were one of my favorite teams. Especially Roma with their kits. Those are just fantastic. Always. And in Serie A, those are my teams. In La Liga, it's Deportivo La Coruña from early 2000s. If you know, you know. You have seen those players and everything. And there's always been Athletic Bilbao. And those two would be my teams in La Liga. So I definitely would not be in that regard regarding Arsenal. But of course, Thierry Henry had to come out, score that one wonder goal, and Bergkamp had to score that goal against Newcastle and ruin everything for me. Hence why I'm sitting here now and bitching and moaning about Mikel Arteta almost every single day, because he is genuinely regressing with our team for the last year and a half, 2 years almost. And there is no accountability, no nothing about this situation in the club. And that is the biggest issue. Milan Derby is not as telling it used to be tougher, boy. He's telling the truth, even our derby with Tottenham. Yeah, that is the biggest thing. Obviously, Serie A used to be the best league in the world. Let's not kid ourselves. Inter Milan, AC Milan, Juventus, phenomenal. The defense they could have played, Napoli even, Udinese, Parma, and teams like that, Palermo and everything, fantastic. They were arguably the best league in the world at some point. In 90s, definitely, I would say. Early 2000s as well. Remember, 2005, Istanbul Champions League final. Everyone gave AC Milan everything that they're gonna win it. Liverpool had no business even in being in the final. No disrespect to Liverpool, right? But they actually lost it. And Liverpool, that's why sometimes football is fantastic, that not the per se underdog story, but definitely that story. Because, see, you are mentioning these derbies, right? Milan derby is not the same, definitely. North London derby is not the same. Merseyside derby is not the same. The derby between United and Arsenal also is not the same. Yet, thank God, there are still some proper derbies. If you watch River Plate versus Boca Juniors, that is just genuinely, you are scared shitless. Even through TV when you watch it. Same goes for Celtic versus Rangers. Same goes for, what's its face? In Turkey. Galatasaray versus Fenerbahce or Besiktas. Those there are still those ones that go hard, but specifically in Premier League, they have died, genuinely died, quite heavily, heavily. Uh, big up Pepper, my guy. How you doing today? Exactly. Odegaard just plays the safe passes, and most of our team just plays the safe passes, by the way. That is the thing. No thread the needle risky passes. It's all about control, maintaining possession like Mikel Arteta insists every single bloody second of the time he talks to them. And that is a big issue. There is no risk, none whatsoever. And have you noticed that Odegaard is useless many games, pretty much, and he gets good only when the team is playing good. Because when against City even, when it was 2-3-1, right? Once it went to 3-1, then he started to show up. When it was 1-1, 1-0 and everything, he wasn't there. He was not playing. And many games, if a team is playing good, Odegaard usually is playing good. If the team sucks, Odegaard's one of the biggest who suck on the pitch. Pause. And everything. Next season I will watch more La Liga, Premier League. Yeah, definitely. Watch La Liga. Even Bundesliga, to be honest. Eintracht Frankfurt is fantastic to watch. Obviously Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Munich. There are teams to watch. RB Leipzig to some extent, given the transfer window. Let's see how that goes and everything. Definitely there are quite a bit of teams you can watch. Brazilian Serie A is starting soon. So you're gonna support Cruzeiro and Marquinhos or what? My team in Italian Serie A is Fiorentina. Yeah, the purples. I'm still kind of like, I don't want to say in shock. I'm not gonna lie. I'm still kind of in shock, but I still, to some extent, the passing of a story, 7-8 years ago was it? I think. For a story from Fiorentina, out of nowhere, the center back, one of the club legends, you could argue, right? It hit hard, I'm not gonna lie. I was watching Serie A at the time, I was doing career mode on FIFA as well, ironically enough, with Fiorentina, and the news hit that a story had passed away. It really hit me hard, for some weird extent, for some weird reason, because I don't know whether it was like attachment due to career mode or something, but it hit different. I'm just gonna say that it hit a bit different than I would expect. Let's just put it that way. Obviously, someone passing is never a good thing, but it hit deeper than usual. If only dribbling is under new manager. Yeah, we have the least minutes for under 21 players in the Prem. Even Southampton. Yeah, Southampton. By the way, today news came out they want 100 million for dribbling. 100 M's for dribbling. Are they dumb? But yeah, that's the thing. Arsenal have never been on top of the table this season as well, by the way. Think about that. Nearly 1700 days without a trophy. Haven't been on top of the table this season, by the way. As well. Just think about it. Closest we've been to Liverpool is 4 points. On 2 occasions, 7. A few 9s. And predominantly it's 9, 11 or 12. Dude, Klopp beat us last year with his under-21 team in the cup. Yeah, Marquinhos the GOAT. 3 million power signing. Santos with Neymar. Neymar is back home as well. Oof. You support Sao Paulo in Brazil, right? Yeah, I get it. For me, it is... I liked Sao Paulo when Ganso was there, right? Ganso, that guy as well. What a wasted talent. Ganso was fantastic. Came up at the same time as Neymar. One for Santos, one for Sao Paulo. 2 phenomenal talents. Just a shame that Ganso just fell flat. Ganso was a fantastic talent. For me, it's for me in Brazilian league, and this will sound weird, I'm not gonna lie. It is Flamenco. For me, it's Flamenco. Well, Napoli is not a bad team to have because of Maradona and everything. Higuain and stuff like that. Bundesliga, it's Bayern. Yeah, I get it. Winning trophies and all that jazz. Definitely get it. Get it. Totally get it. Never ever, but when Henri says something who won the Prem with us, it's a fun. Yep. Nah, Hulk is still playing. He is balling out, I think. When was it? I think in the end part of the Brazilian League season, last one, right? He scored a banging long shot. Banging. He still has that cannon in his left foot like no tomorrow, by the way. Still has a cannon in that left foot. But yeah, football these days is going downhill quite a bit. Everything's about stats. Everything is so systemized. Everything's about control, possession, and everything. How about you basically judge a player whether he can defend or not, whether he can complete passes or not, whether he can score a goal or not? Because these days, people pay more attention to players' foot size and the fact that he has basically brown hair instead of blonde hair than his actual ability on the pitch. It's actually kind of nuts. It's actually kind of nuts. Obviously, in the, let's just say 20 years ago, there were stats. There were stats. But in the last decade, more specifically, these stats, these made-up stats, which basically, they show something, but they say nothing at the same time. It's like a politician in the last decade, these stats. They basically talk a lot, but they mean nothing. Let's be real. Because XG is very subjective. Passing percentage, very subjective. Let's be real. You complete the pass or you don't. That's at the end of the day, that's the aim of the game, is to score a goal. How you gonna get to the goal? You're gonna pass the ball. Who cares if you, let's just say, complete 300 passes and you have 68% pass accuracy or 88% pass accuracy? Because at the end of the day, the team if you score a goal, you win the game. Let's be real. Same goes for possession. Remember that infamous game with Barcelona versus Celtic at Celtic, right? When they played against Celtic in Glasgow, right? Barcelona had 79 or something or 82% possession. They lost the game to Barcelona in Champions League. Possession means at the end of the day nothing. Only thing that matters at the end of the day is the scoreboard. That's it. And what it shows, obviously. Why don't we sign Neymar on free? He has experience. He would get ruined with his injuries. He would generally step on the pitch, break a leg, and be out for the season. It's like watching an old movie in black and white. Yeah. Paint watches Arsenal dry, basically. The issue is, Ronaldinho was one of the best players in the world at that time, right? In this age, he would be by a mile the best player in the world. By a mile. Unless he would play under Pep or Arteta or someone like that, who would genuinely coach the Joga Bonito out of him. Let's just put it that way. He was, yeah. Nobody's gonna deny it. You can disagree with his antics at times, with him breaking the law, him partying too hard and all this stuff, but you cannot deny that his talent, his ability on the ball, a footballing IQ, he was something you would define as a street baller, basically. Streets never forget. He is the one of those players, basically. He came from the streets. He came from the proper plays, from the backyards on concrete pitches, playing football and everything. These days, everyone plays in the academies and everything, and obviously, at the end of the day, I kid you not, when I grew up, I was out there playing football in the yard with my neighboring kids. We were about between 8 to about 12 to 13 kids. We were playing football, right? That's why I played football in school. That's why I played football in competitions, right? These days, more specifically in the last decade, the stronger the internet gets, media gets, technology advances and everything. At best, I see one kid outside, and he usually is just passing through the backyard of the neighborhood just to go to the shop. That's about it. Nobody's outside, nobody's playing, no contact, no nothing. And I think that is also missing these days from football, because if you can kick a ball a bit better than someone in your school, instantly to the academy. That's it. And you go school, academy, home, school, academy, home. You have no time to train yourself. You have no time to learn the craft and everything. Because the best footballers started their careers on the streets. On the streets. Not in the academy, on the streets. Him and R9, proper Ronaldo. I was saying the other day that prime Wayne Rooney would be the best. Yeah, easily, without shadow of a doubt. Without shadow of a doubt. Let's be real. These days, many players who were overlooked because of the amount of talent we used to have back in the day would be world class these days. Without breaking a sweat even to some extent. That's why Yamal looks so good. Because he is a teenager who is the closest thing these days we have to those days when we grew up on football. He is the closest thing we have. And that's why he is actually so highly regarded already at 18, basically. 17, 18. And nobody's even mentioning his age. Any top 20, 30 player from 90s until 2010s would be the best player. Yeah, easily. Absolutely easily. Without shadow of a doubt. That would be hella easy just if you think about it. Like, it would be actually kind of nuts. Zidane, Robben, Ribéry, Lam, Kaká. The list is endless, pretty much. Bergkamp was a world-class 10, dude. Is the same in most sports nowadays, such as tennis? Yeah, it's just... Basically, and it's nuts. It's genuinely nuts. It's actually nuts. Way out of line from that one, I'm not gonna lie. Way out of line. But yeah, it's actually kind of insane when you come to think of it. How far... You would think that with the technology we have, things would get better. But many times, technology is the thing that ruins everything. Think about it that way. Because as much as technology, developments in technology, advances forward, helps us in everyday life, at the same time, it takes away something which basically made us who we are. Because these days, genuinely, I cannot pass a person who is not looking in their phone. They are afraid to have a human contact. They are afraid, genuinely, in the street, go up to a stranger and ask what time it is. Ask the directions to go somewhere. Not to mention even making a phone call. They instantly get anxiety. They are genuinely afraid. And imagine that kind of person needs to call doctors to make an appointment when they have never done it before. Like, the simplest of the simple things they cannot do these days even. That is the biggest thing. That is the biggest thing. And it's actually embarrassing to some extent. I know I joke around about certain aspects of today's world, but when I look at the youth at the moment, right, and I think about let's just say in the next 30 years, right, I'm gonna be 60, for example, right, 61 in 30 years. Well, technically 62, right? And I think that these guys are 17, 18, they're gonna be 40, 45, 46, right? And based on how they look now, one of those people are going to be my doctor I go to for medicine if something goes wrong in my old age. And if I kind of think about that in the future, I'm kind of scared shitless about my future. Let's be real. And obviously government and that bullshit what's happening there doesn't help. But I try to ignore that because, let's be real, it's inevitable at the end of the day and nothing's gonna change. To some extent, unless insane riots start. But I think about the youth and I'm generally scared because they cannot do anything. They don't know how to change a tire to the car. They don't know how to fix a sink. right? And everything. They barely can clean out their room, and they don't even want to do that. Take out the trash and everything. It's just nothing. Just lazy, sit in the phones, sit on their ass, do nothing all day. It's actually just insane. Yeah, I do too. First things first, what I would do, I would invest every single penny I had in Apple or something, right? So that would be the first thing I do. But otherwise, yeah, I wish sometimes I wish I could do that as well. Yeah, we took so much for granted at the time. At the same time, I'm thankful that I grew up at a time where phones were not a thing, technology wasn't as developed as it is right now, internet was only in the beginner stages, same goes for computers. To do something you needed human contact, you had to go out to play with friends. The only way you could find out if someone will go out with you and play basically is if you didn't have phone like landline at home and your friend didn't have, you had to go. You had genuinely get dressed and go to him and find out. Otherwise, nada. And then on the way, let's just say he says he or she cannot come out, but there are about 10 other kids outside playing. And in those days, you generally, if someone had the ball, you generally went up and say, hey, can I play? Easy. And you are in. And in 5-10 minutes, we are all best friends. Nobody cares what is what. Nobody cares about age, height, I don't know, skin color, anything. All of the best friends. Everyone's a best friend. Everyone's playing together. No questions asked. And that's it. Everyone has to go home. Everyone's happy. Hey, maybe we can do this again tomorrow. Come home, do this, do homework, do stuff, go out again. And it's like pretty much a guarantee that someone is gonna be there every day. These days, you don't see none of that. Wish I could witness the early 2000s. Dude, genuinely 90s and early 2000s just... Oh, take me back. Yeah, the strike... most of the players these days. All passion merchants, arm wave merchants, just frauds. Yeah, so... Yeah, social media has like... Vine, TikTok, Shorts in YouTube even, and to some extent stuff like that. People, specifically youth, not just teenagers, but kids as well. If the video lasts longer than 5 to 10 seconds, they just don't watch it. They just instantly scroll upwards to the next one. I see that first-handly with my kids. I'm not gonna lie. If the video lasts longer, unless it's like a cartoon or something like that, if it lasts longer than 5 to 10 seconds, instantly. They don't like, for example, to watch like a minute, educational or whatever, even a funny video. As genuinely 5-10 seconds, 5-10 seconds, and just scroll your life away, basically. And scroll your brains away on top of that. But Top Gunner's saying, man, yeah, I may have 4 walk home without any phone and just find my way back. Exactly. Nothing was invented then. At best, if you had a phone, genuinely, if you had a phone, it would be like genuinely carrying a brick around. It was genuinely like this big. It had like this type of antenna. It was like calling genuinely through a tree. And you basically carried it around if you had money to actually afford one at the end of the day. Because at those times, they cost the same amount as phones these days. And if you compare those phones, generally night and day. But hey, it is what it is, let's be real. But yeah, it's actually kind of nuts. I had a BlackBerry that my dad was given for work and it had no internet, only bring. Yeah, I grew up on Nokia 3310, like 3210. Those ones, you know, the ones that if you drop them, right, the ground would break. The battery, despite playing Snake and Space Impact and all this crap, listening to some MIDI songs and making all the calls, writing SMSs and all this stuff, lasted for a week, despite everything. It was actually insane. These days, you write 2 messages, oh, battery's dead. Let's start over, and everything. Yes, I'm 31. I'm gonna be 32 this year. I'm 31. Yeah, the good old days. Good old days. Ronaldinho hands down. Ronaldinho hands down. But anyways, I think on that note, after some Arsenal news, some rants and everything, trip down the memory lane as well, to some extent. Yes, to some extent, not fully, because I didn't have a TV till 2005, but I made my best efforts to find Henry in Arsenal between 2001 and 2000 until the time I got TV and actually could watch Premier League on TV. I did my best efforts to find websites that provide all the games at the time. Because, kid you not, I didn't have TV till, I didn't have cable or something like that till I was 13. I didn't have a phone till I was 13 or 14, right? And so basically, every news I got was through watching one of the 4 channels, sports news channels I had, local ones, or reading newspapers like my grandfather did. That's the only ways I found out about the scores and everything regarding Arsenal and everything, and footballing world. But once I got TV, I got my first PC and everything. First things first, I did my best efforts to find out as much as information I can about Arsenal, about the club, about the history, and watch as many games as I can from the time I was an Arsenal fan in those days, and I just couldn't watch. Well, it goes without saying, Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp. We beat Birmingham, if I'm not mistaken, or Blackburn was it? I think it was Birmingham. In one of the cup games, I think it was. And yeah, it all went from there. Yeah, the football we used to play, it was phenomenal. Especially under Wenger at the time, it was fantastic back in the day. But yeah, I think on that note, I'm gonna end today's stream. Let's reminisce another day, maybe tomorrow or something like that. But for today, I am out. So if you haven't already, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new around here. Take care, have a nice evening, have a nice day tomorrow, and see you very, very, very soon.